Welcome to the For Listeners program. Welcome aboard, everybody. Thanks for checking us out this week. What up, everybody? I'm Spear. On the mics this week is the Z-Man. What is up, Z?
And me, I'm flying in my taxi, taking tips, and getting stoned. I go fly so high when I'm stoned.
Wow. Okay.
Harry Chapin, baby.
All right. Okay. On the other mic is the mighty Ganthor. What is up, Ganthor?
What are you doing, buddy?
How's it going, man?
I am so tired.
But you just flew in from the Sin City.
From Wester than the Sin City.
Wester?
I did a big loop. More west.
I thought you meant like Westeros.
No. That place ain't real, dude. No.
Vegas is a fantasy land, too.
Vegas is barely real.
Well, that's true, yeah.
It's surreal is what it is. Nice.
So anyway, I ended up taking a cab from the Vegas airport to the hotel. And have you seen the cab line, the taxi stand line
at the Vegas airport?
Yeah,
it's like being in line for a ride at Six Flags.
It's longer than that, right? I mean, it moves pretty quickly, but yes, it's ridiculous. And so you wait in this huge line for a taxi ride, and I want to look up to see how far this ride actually was in terms of mileage, and see if you can guess.
It can't be more than 5 miles.
No, it's more than that.
No.
According to Google Maps, 8 miles.
8 miles. All right.
Yeah, so it's over 5.
I was off by a couple.
Yeah, but
because you could see the strip from the airport.
I could have gone a 3-mile route. And he said, traffic's going to be bad this way. You want me to take the interstate? I'm like, yeah, sure. What do I care? Right.
Oh, he's right. It's probably traffic as shit, though.
Yeah, either that or he wanted
3 miles?
Either that or he wanted to take you the long way. Like, you can't trust...
Well, that's what he did. He took me the long way.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't trust them to take you the most efficient way or whatever, because all they're trying to do is just get the cash out of you. I mean, you're a commodity at that point.
I know.
You don't got Google Maps? You could tell this guy how to go?
I wasn't paying attention. By the time I realized it was too late, we were already there on the interstate. So, I mean, that's problem number one, right? Stupid cabbies. F you.
Spear, were you there the time we were there for someone's bachelor party and we ended up getting into the cab and like the dude had like a karaoke microphone?
Karaoke. It was just selling Ganthor.
He was just telling me about that.
Karaoke.
I thought that was you that was in the cab with me. That was hilarious.
Karaoke. The guy, we get in the cab. He starts driving. He's normal cabbie chit chat, and then all of a sudden he starts playing music out of this console he's got in the front of the cab.
Yeah, he's pushing a bunch of buttons and he grabs a microphone.
And he starts singing Bon Jovi, "Wanted Dead or Alive." Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was free entertainment.
Karaoke. Like, you never know. You never know what's going to happen when you get into a cab. You never know. You never know whether or not you're going to get like a good cab driver.
Yeah.
Right. You never know whether or not you're going to get somebody who drives normally or who drives like a cab driver.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. Those guys, like, if they got a fare, they're really slow and they're going to take their time and stop like before the light turns red, and yeah, they stretch it out so that you have to keep paying. But if they don't have anybody in the cab, they're like, going as fast as they can to get to the next corner to see if they can find someone over there.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if they know that you're not going very far, they will break all kinds of land speed records to get you where you're going because they figure the fare's not going to be all that much.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it ends up you end up putting your life in their hands, and you're like, oh my god. And like, I'm a pretty aggressive driver, but there are I've been in cabs where I've been begging to get out somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're trying to make a buck too.
Well, they're not trying to make a buck. They're extorting a buck.
That's true.
You know why? Because they have a captive market.
Yeah. Once you're in that car.
Well, not even that. You have like up until this year, you had 0 options in terms of how do you get from point A to point B without renting a car or walking yourself or taking public transportation.
Right.
So you get in this mile-long taxi stand line to get in some crappy beat to shit taxi cab to get charged $36 for 8 miles.
That's nuts. That's the ridiculous part. I mean, to go 8 miles, $36.
Depends. I mean, because in most countries the haggling's part of the game. In the U.S., it's not though. Yeah, when I was in Italy, and in Greece, I wouldn't get in the cab until I wouldn't even. Don't put your luggage in. You don't get in the cab until you negotiate a rate.
Yeah.
That's smart.
See, well, how do you hold him to that?
Well, you just tell him I'm not paying you any dime more than that.
Yeah, but you can get in, and then he can say, "This guy said he'd pay me."
Great. Let's call the cops.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. What proof do you have that?
He doesn't want the cops.
He doesn't want the cops. He'll take whatever money and move on to
Yeah,
the next
so what do
fare.
you care? You get in, and you say, "No, man, I said I'd pay you $10."
Have you ever been in a position where they've because that's the only other thing they could do at that point is say get out of the car.
Yep.
Have you ever been in a position where that's happened?
I've won it so many times in a situation where I just fucking wanted to punch the cab driver, where I just want to.
Like
I don't remember. I can't remember any of the instances where it's happened. It's happened several times, and I just want to be that dick who just was like, "Yeah, I'll wait right here. Let's call the cops, and we'll let him settle this."
Why wouldn't you just get out and run?
Why bother?
Well, what's he gonna do?
Well, I
Chase
mean,
you?
at that point, it's a stare down, right? The guy's either going to take whatever you're willing to give him.
Right,
Yeah.
or he's gonna lose money for all the time that you remain in there.
Exactly right. He doesn't want to sit around waiting for a cop.
But it should get to that point, right? Like, clearly the industry needs to be fixed because they're just terrible.
Right. I mean, there are people who are so disgruntled with everything. They're sitting in this car. They live in the car. They're just. I mean, they're so miserable. They're such miserable people for the most part.
Yeah.
Even if you can get them to stop screaming in whatever language, and actually make the interior of the cab a good climate and all the other stuff. It's just like cabs are just so disgusting in general.
I agree with you there.
Wholeheartedly.
It's too hot. It's got like 9 fucking air fresheners. You know someone just puked in the back and he's got it hosed down so it's damp.
I've done that before.
You puked in a cab?
Mm-hmm.
Did you tip him extra?
Yes.
I've puked on the cab, outside the cab.
I've never puked in a cab.
Oh God, dude! When you're drunk, you see,
You
we're
don't really have a choice.
we're slaying cabs right now. But when you're drunk, cabs are your best friend.
Of course.
I mean, cabs are your very best friend, and the cab drivers know this too. Like, they can see this drunk guy coming a mile away. Like, he's just standing there staggering on the corner. I mean, if you're a cab driver, you got to know you're playing with fire here. Where you see a guy, he's barely holding himself up, or his friends are actually holding him up.
Yeah, propping him up.
Right, on the corner, and they're flagging you down. What do? I mean, do you
Keep driving.
you could use the fare.
Yeah, that's what you risk, not getting a fare for a while, or you chance it that this guy's going to hold it in until he gets, because nobody really wants to puke in a cab.
No, they don't. Though,
So-
sometimes it happens.
Well, yeah, sometimes it happens.
Sometimes
but sometimes
it
you also
happens.
don't get fares.
I was after a night of gambling and drinking, a lot of gambling and a lot of drinking. I ended up getting in. I ended up puking on my shoes outside of Gino's Steaks in Philly. My buddy had the wherewithal to chuck me in a cab, and I managed to spit out my address, which is not near Philly. It's
He
a
took
long
you back to where you live now?
right
From Gino's.
from Gino's.
How much was that cab?
So I managed to spit out my address, and then I pass out. And when I wake up again, I'm near my house, but now I have to puke. So now I stick my head out the window of the cab like a goddamn golden retriever, and I
Tell
puke.
the guy to fucking pull over because they'll pull over immediately when you say "poor."
I didn't have I didn't have the wherewithal to say that, nor the time, because this was just not going to wait. So I just stick my head out the window and I puke all over the side of the car.
Nice.
And then we pull up in front of my house, and the cab ride is now $65.
You throw him 100 because that's all you got anyway.
Right. So now he's yelling at me. He's like, I have to clean the cab. I have to clean the cab. And I have a $100 bill from gambling, and I just hand him the $100 bill. I'm like, just shut up. Just go away. I can't fucking deal with you right
You
now.
should have pissed it off his car.
And I fall out of the cab, and then he just pulls away. And it was like, oh my God.
Well, he's probably stoked now because now you can just hose it off and he's got $100.
Right. There you go.
Win-win.
Yeah, he's not going to clean that. You know he didn't clean it.
It was the outside of the car too, right? It's not like I booted in the car. I mean, all he had to do was run that fucking thing through a car wash
For $5-10.
for a $10 car wash, right? $5 car wash. But I couldn't.
See, we both got played.
In fairness, I probably deserved that. I deserve what I got there, but.
At least you got home and you didn't get raped.
Well, my other buddy, I don't know whether or not he was awake through the whole thing. I'm assuming he was. thank God.
Oh, somebody else was in the cab with you?
Yeah, so my buddy
Oh.
chucked me in the cab.
I thought he chucked you in the cab and then said go.
Good luck, fucker.
Has anyone ever had to do that to you? I've seen that done, but I've never had that done to me.
No, I've never chucked somebody in a cab alone and said, fare thee well. I've never done that. Ganthor, you ever got to the point where you had to puke in a cab?
I told you I did puke in a cab.
What was the story around the puking in the cab?
I was in Montreal, and I was getting fed strong doubles all night, rum, and the only way I know how to drink is I blast up to the limit and then smash over and then puke and then I'm done, right? So that's what I did. I blasted over the line. So I got in a cab and was pretty much almost there and then but I kept it quiet. The guy he didn't even know that I was ralphing
puking in the back of his car. He could smell it, I'm sure.
I don't know.
That shit smells pretty bad.
Well, you know what alcohol puke is like, right?
It's not disgusting.
Like if it's primarily alcohol that was just downed.
Yeah, then it's like all bile and shit.
Ugh, that's awful. The stench from that is awful.
It is.
He got a big tip out of that.
Nice. My worst story is when I was living in Philly. I went to like a Christmas party for my own company, and like I thought there'd be food, but there wasn't any food. And so we were just drinking like margaritas all night. And then we decided to go out to this Mexican bar. What's that Mexican bar that used to be over by McGlinchey's? Had a
Copa 2.
Copa 2, yeah. So we're upstairs Copa 2 afterwards, and like I'm like, let's do shots of Rumpelmans or Jägermeister. And so everyone does a shot of Jäger, and we're ordering our food, and I'm just like, I'll be right back. And I go upstairs because that's where the bathrooms are. And I lock the door, and I'm just like, bleh, bleh. And then I passed out on the floor in the bathroom.
That's disgusting.
It's absolutely disgusting. I am like hugging this public bathroom at 1 a.m. You know that thing hasn't been cleaned since hopefully the day before, but I managed to get my cell phone out and call my my ex at the time, or my ex, and I was like, "You gotta come get me." She's like, "Where are you?" I was like, Copa 2. I'm upstairs locked in the bathroom, knocked 3 times. So my friends haven't seen me in like 2 hours. I think I was asleep in that bathroom for like 2 hours.
Oh my God.
And she's got like a test for like one of her big tests the next day, and she's so pissed off. She comes up there, she drags me out of there, she gets my friends to help bring me down, brings me down the back. And while we're on our way out, you can see like the ticket guy ticketing her car. Oh, because she parked, double parked to try to grab me, and it was just like, oh my God, it was the worst ever. And then we were supposed to all go out and party the next day anyway, and I'm like, I have no interest in drinking anything tomorrow. After she was done her final.
Oh my God.
I fell asleep in the floor of the bathroom.
Oh,
that is disgusting.
That is awful.
Yeah. So. Anyway, that has nothing to do with taxis.
Nothing to do with taxis, but still an awesome story.
Let's get to the meat of this story since we're going to get there and talk about some Uber.
So I Ubered for the first time. You Ubered too, right, Ganthor?
Yeah, for the first time.
For the first time?
Yeah, so last week I was in San Francisco, and I Ubered for the first time because I figure I'm in San Francisco. That's what you do.
You can't Uber at home?
I can, but I hadn't. I hadn't had the experience.
Why would you, though? You're at home.
I guess. I don't know.
Uber, so we'll get into Uber in Philly in just a second, but I Ubered in San Francisco, and I punched up the app, and I clicked where I was, and I ordered the car, and 2 minutes later, the car is there. I mean, 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you can watch him come up. You can see exactly where he is.
You see him circling around you like a video, like he's a little fish. You're like, I'm going to catch you, fish.
You can see him make a U-turn to come, turn around again, come back at you.
I was amazed by this. I mean, I'm like, what sorcery is this? What is this? It was
sorcery?
It was amazing to me that this technology was feasible. I was amazed. It's like I would like a car. Boom! There's the car.
There's car.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit!
And it's great too because you can choose what kind of car you want. I'll take the shitty Mazda Miata, or give me the
How
what do they call it?
Choose?
There's a little slider at the bottom. You get Uber X, and you get Uber Black Car.
Right.
You get Uber whatever.
Right.
I got you.
Yeah.
And
so,
you just you pay a little extra for the other one, but then you can go get the Escalade out.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, you can get like the Uber Large, the Uber Black Car, the Uber X. Uber X is the
cheapie, yeah.
their cheapest brand, and it's just regular sedans. People are just cruising around in sedans or little crossovers or what have you.
Yeah.
I got picked up in a Chevy Traverse at one point in San Francisco.
Yeah, I got picked up in a Camry, which was fine with me because it was nicer than any cab I've ever been in.
Right. Yeah, they're clean, they're well kept, they smell nice, the people are usually friendly, they'll talk to you. You can rate them at the end and say, yeah, this guy was awesome. Do you know they rate you too?
Yeah.
After you get out, they rate you whether or not you're a dick.
Yeah. No, that's nice. Because what incentive is there for the cab guy to not F you over? Because he's just a number that's probably a shift worker if he doesn't own his cab or anything.
Yep.
Nothing at all.
I mean, I got a call from the Uber driver.
Yeah, he's like, hey, buddy, I'm outside. I'm the whatever car.
Yeah, I was standing in front of the hotel. He called to figure out what side of the street I was on.
Yep.
So that he could make his way over to my side of the street. He says, oh, yeah, I'm right on the other corner. I'll make my way over there. I'll be there in 30 seconds. And sure enough, there he was.
Yeah.
Nice.
And the thing about the Uber is that you don't have to worry about the payment.
Right.
Yeah, just walk
Oh,
out.
my credit machine's broken. Oh, really, buddy?
Yeah, they actually, up here, they'll ask you first, like, you paying cash or credit? And if you say cash or credit, they'll be like, oh, it's broken.
Yep. Or they won't take you at all.
Yep.
Yeah, this takes everything out. You order the car, you get into the car.
You don't have to give your car to some sketcho who might have just copied it when you handed it to him.
That's right.
Yep.
If the cab's old school like that.
That's right.
The other thing is now they upgrade the software. You can put your destination in while you're waiting, and so when you get there, he's already got it plugged into his GPS.
That's right. I did that all the way through San Francisco. He knew where I was going. He knew the best way to get there. You know, we got there, no problem. And then I get out of the car. I don't have to worry about, thanks for the ride. I get out. I'm good.
Yeah,
Yep.
just jump.
Yep.
I don't have exact change. Do you have change?
Yeah, I'm not figuring out the tip. Everything's factored into the cost of doing business. Thank you very much. And I'm out.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It was.
I was sold. I was hesitant at first. I didn't really want to do it because I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know if I'd get my free ride. I didn't know how tipping worked or all that stuff. But I'm sold.
So the great thing is, Uber's been having trouble with a lot of places because they're getting into fights with the cab companies, and we'll get into that in Philly. But we had it up here in Boston for a while, and they had this big town meeting, and they like filled the room. There's people out in the hallways. Everyone's coming in to defend Uber, and they asked the one guy who's, I guess, the decider person, have you even been in an Uber yet? And he's like, no. He's like, cabs are the way to go. And I'm like, dude, fucking get in an Uber once, and you'll never take a cab again.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Like, I keep hearing, when I tell people that I took an Uber car, they're like, oh, and you didn't end up in a warehouse someplace? I'm like, what? How is it any different than getting into a cab? Like,
it's better because there's at least a record of Uber, or Uber has a record of you requesting this thing.
That's absolutely right.
That can be subpoenaed. What is there with the taxi? Nothing.
Nothing. You standing on a corner with your arm up in the air trying to flag down a cab.
And if you accidentally leave something in there, you know who the fucking guy was because you have a record of it, and you can see their license number and their name,
That's
and they'll, I'm sure
you can give him a 1 star if he doesn't give it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could even call him. Like, oh, dude, I left my bag in your car or whatever.
Right. They're not going to extort you for $100 to get your shit back.
Right. You just make arrangements to meet him, or he comes to find you where you are.
And you pay him $20, whatever.
I was like you, Ganthor. I was skeptical, and then I agree with everything you guys are saying. You get in, you have the experience, and then you never take a cab again, unless you're in Philadelphia. In which case,
what's going on, Philly?
In which case, you're going to have to take cabs because now Philadelphia is fighting Uber. And like you said, this is not uncommon for Uber, right? Because Uber is challenging.
It's not uncommon with Philadelphia.
What's that?
It's not uncommon with Philadelphia.
That's right. Well, Philadelphia fights everybody.
Idiots.
But Uber is challenging the establishment.
Right. And there's so much money locked up in the establishment that the city is going to listen.
Right. So the PPA, this is weird. The Philadelphia Parking Authority is a governing body over cabs in Philadelphia, which I find to be ironic, and I think that's the right use of ironic.
That is.
Right. The Philadelphia
That's
Parking.
literally the right use.
That's literally very good. The PPA is fighting Uber every step of the way. Now, Philadelphia has now engaged in a undercover sting operation to impound vehicles that are associated with Uber. So there was a sting operation this past weekend where 5 vehicles operating under the Uber X service were impounded. So, and if you're wondering what an undercover sting operation looks like, somebody from the PPA pulls out a smartphone and requests an UberX card just like you would, and then impounds the car as soon as the guy shows up.
That seems ridiculous. Are you allowed to do the "Are you a cop"? And
No.
by law, you're required to tell
You
me
have
if
to tell
you're a
me.
cop.
You have to tell me if you're a cop. No, that's stupid.
I mean, but isn't that entrapment? I mean, aren't
yeah.
you? I guess not, because you're
You're offering the service or whatever.
right. You're offering the service. And
Still.
It's $1,000 to get your car out of impound, because you got to remember, these Uber drivers, these are their cars. These Uber drivers sign up to be a part of the Uber program, right? And they go through background checks and the car inspections and the whole routine, right? So Uber as a company has a $1 million insurance policy and does background checks and the whole routine. That's what they do.
Well, no, you see what they did now? Now they're adding that as a cost to the consumer, the safety check. Did you notice the $1 add-on on your bill?
I hadn't noticed, but fine. Well,
That's not fine, because that should definitely be their cost. That's why we're paying them.
Oh, okay,
they can
but
run the background checks. It shouldn't be something that they pass. Do you run do I have to run a background check on a restaurant to make sure that the cook isn't going to poison me?
I guess not.
No, that's a cost of business.
Right,
Right.
but I think I'd be willing to pay that dollar only to know that I have that dollar's worth a little bit of peace of mind, because you're not getting anything along those lines when you get into a cab.
Oh, I'm not saying you are. I agree with that. I want to know if the guy speaks English first. That's one of my first things going to be. And does he actually know how to get places in the city?
The thing with Uber is that I'd be willing to pay that. I'd be willing to pay that additional money, right? And they're saying as a result that they're standing behind all of their drivers. It's $1,000 to get the car out of impound. Uber is like, whatever, we'll pay for it.
That's nice.
They're calling this a quote deplorable charade.
Well, I mean, they have to. Otherwise, all the Uber drivers are going to stop driving in Philly, and then they're going to lose their foothold.
Right.
I've actually, you know what my favorite thing to do is?
What's
Get
that?
an Uber in front of a cab stand. It's one of my favorite things to do.
That's kind of cold.
I can see the cab. I see you right there, but I'm wait.
I can get in your vehicle right now and go. But no. That's funny.
So I assume you guys have heard of the controversies surrounding surge pricing, right?
Yes.
And have you listened to any of the podcasts that we talk about? I think they've been on Planet Money and I don't know, a couple of the other podcasts, the NPR podcasts about this. And they're saying it's like, a $200 cab ride. When's a cab ride worth $200? And the guy's like, there was just like middle of a snowstorm. It was like 10x surge pricing. All he's trying to do is go a mile, but he had to go a mile because his wife's about to deliver a baby and they need a car. At that point, are you willing to pay 10 times the normal rate? Fuck yeah. You got to get somewhere, right?
Yep.
And he's like, you pay whatever the hell you need to pay, and that's the whole point. That's what a market dictates, is that the person who needs the service the most will pay the most.
Right. It's simple economics, right? Supply
Right.
and demand. Like when I was in San Francisco this last weekend, I was there for a big conference, and there were 150,000 people at this conference.
Yep.
Right. So you can imagine that there were an influx of people who needed to get around.
Yep.
So surge pricing was in effect for the entire city of San Francisco, or at least for the area that I was in. So, I mean, it's supply and demand, right? There's
Right.
a larger demand. The supply is the same. Surge pricing goes into effect.
And I have absolutely no problem with that. A lot of places, people are crying and bitching and saying, this is not fair, it's not fair. It's not like they're trying to pull one over on you. If you don't want to pay it, don't pay it. Just don't take it.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't get people why they get pissed off about that shit.
It's a value proposition. Whatever you need the car for to go get to where you need to get. I mean, you're going to get 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a clean car. You're going to get a touchless experience, right? You don't have to exchange anything with the driver,
Yep.
right? Chances are you'll get a car pretty fast.
Well,
right?
I mean, that's again depend on supply and demand
Right.
issues, but
Right, and where you are, right?
but at least you know approximately how long you have to wait. I've been out on the curb trying to catch a cab at sometimes, and I'm out there for a good half an hour, 45 minutes.
Well, it's like calling any other car service, right? I call, I would like a car to pick me up here. Oh, the car will be there in half an hour. Great, I'll sit tight for half an hour.
Yeah, but you do that with a cab company, they'll be like, yeah, I'll be there in half an hour, and then 45 minutes, hour, if they even come to you, if you actually call the cab company.
Right.
And then they're doing all the other Uber stuff. You see, they had Uber Ice Cream Day, where you can call an Uber and push the ice cream button, and they'll bring you ice cream.
Yep.
We did that. It was a total ripoff, but it was still a cool idea. They had Uber Boats, which now you can actually call boats if you're within a mile of a coastline.
You can call a boat?
Yep, they have boat captains that are available to ferry you wherever you're going. Weren't they doing like Uber Influenza Day?
Where they would bring flu shots out to you.
Yeah, they would, if you call them in, they'd bring a I guess they're bringing a doctor or a nurse or something out to you, give you the flu shot, and then off on your way.
Yep. And my favorite, the Uber promotion I saw was the Transformers.
That was awesome.
Where you could dial up Optimus Prime.
That was not
like
real,
if you were in San Francisco or Boston or I mean there was like 3 different cities that you could do this in. You could
was that real? I thought that was just a promo thing.
No, that was real. They Optimus Prime would show up and would take you to where you need to go.
Oh, they got to do that with the Batmobile.
Oh, that would be the shit. What did we learn? What did we learn about taxis? What did we learn about Uber? Z-Man.
Innovate or die.
Innovate or die. Ganthor. Ganthor. Did we lose Ganthor?
Oh, I've been muted this whole time. I thought you assholes were just ignoring me.
Dick.
Fuck. So I'm a sucker for getting ripped off by taxis. That's what I learned.
What did I learn? I learned that Uber is the future, and that Philly should fucking get a clue, man.
Yeah, stop being a shitty city.
Yeah, it's gonna take enough people to just start being pissed off about it and just tell them to go fuck off because there's not enough money. They're going to lose so much money on it.
When has that ever changed anything about Philadelphia? How long did it take Andy Reid to get run out of town?
People got to revolt, man.
Donovan McNabb. We need to do a show on Philadelphia is what we need to do.
I'm kind of protective of my adopted hometown.
Oh, protective enough to be a fan of their sports teams?
Absolutely not. So, if you think that Uber is the wave of the future and you don't like getting into a cab, why don't you go ahead and let us know on the Facebook page, facebook.com/4listeners or 4listeners.com. You can tweet at us on the Twitters at 4listeners, and you can check out the show on Stitcher Radio or on iTunes. Just search for 4listeners and we'll pop right on up. We thank you for checking us out this week, and we hope that you will check us out again next week. Thanks a bunch, everybody.
I go flying so high.